You are already a Buddha. You are already enlightened. You have what is called your Buddha nature, which means that you are originally pure. You are originally there. So you are pure awareness already. And yet, my question is that your experience? Are you experiencing this moment from this fullness, from this excitement? If you're doing that, just celebrate. There is no reason why to follow any path. You're already enlightened, so go on and live. But if you feel any kind of suffering, from fear to anger to any kind of negative emotion, then you have to be honest with yourself and accept that you still consider yourself a person, an ego, a mind, a past. You still respond to a name in the sense that you consider yourself to be limited inside of a body and inside of a mind, and you're living that experience as a free will, independent entity. That's how most people perceive themselves, and that's why we have negative emotions, suffering. So if you want to get rid of all that and tap into your real nature, there is a process of purification. You don't have to change anything about yourself. You don't have to become better. You don't have to think of the future. In the future, you will become. That line of thinking is just not going to happen. It's going to keep you in a wheel. That's why it's so important to repeat over and over. You are already there. And yet, I'm not going to suggest you to do nothing. Please try to do nothing. But if that doesn't work, then absolutely, through centuries and millennia, has been great teachers and many people in your position that figure it out. So good news, there are a lot of solutions. There's many things to do. We call it meditation or purification in some way. Call it whatever. Another way of uncovering this Buddha nature, it is by compassion, by ethical behavior. Keep your mind, your actions, and the way you conceive other people, treat them as yourself. That way you also purify the disturbances in your mind, and everything kind of sort of heals itself. And you will be happier. I know the word happy is a bit difficult to define. Everybody has a different idea of happiness. I'm not talking about the happiness like getting all the money in the world and having your perfect Hollywood love, and I'm not talking about that kind of perfection in external circumstances. And it would definitely happen sometimes, but sometimes it won't. But there is beauty in that too. The moment that you see the beauty in your lowest points, that moment something very important is happening. You're really tapping into this innate purity of your awareness, which is also luminous. It is illuminating the world. All your perception is enlightened by this luminosity of this awareness. So it is there. It's not only just some sort of empty thing, because in many paths of meditation, you negate to get to reduce your experience into the most basic essence. You say, I'm not this, I'm not that. You do mindfulness, you do different practices, and you conclude in your direct experience that things just happen spontaneously and impersonally. And when you reach that point, you start realizing that there's nothing, there's all these people we deal with, all these things we deal with, it's just conceptual frameworks. So the reality in this moment, you're watching a screen, but still you're not watching anything outside of yourself. You're still inside of your own awareness. This video appears in your awareness as if it was a dream. So you cannot say there's any difference between you and me. There is none. We are the same. We are awareness. We are that which notices everything. So it's a process of letting go. And ironically, especially if you're suffering or you have a suffering many times for most people is latent. So sometimes you don't feel it so much, and sometimes you feel it more. That means there is something that sometimes is a problem, sometimes it's not, but it's always there. That's why it's so important to, even in your good days, to still do some kind of work. And I met a lot of fantastic teachers. I haven't met anyone who said, I'm done with the work. I completely uncover the Buddha nature, the joy, the innate happiness in your being, your loving presence. None of these most serious teachers online must have said, that's it. They may have pointed to doing less and less, to the point that from the regular point of view of a person, it will look like do nothing, like just sit there and do nothing. Don't think even. But actually, there's still a lot of things going on underneath. So I haven't met, I take first-hand teachers as the most reliable source of all. I haven't met one teacher, and I met very advanced teachers that said that they were over with the work. There is always something there. So if you're honest with yourself, although the work may be to realize continuously that you're there already, still it's a purification, it's a process. So don't let your ego tell you, oh, I'm already enlightened, so I'm just going to live my life without caring about anything, or this is just a little illusion. There's nothing to do. If you ever feel like that, chances are you're going to delude yourself, and you're going to wake up one morning suffering again, as you always did. Feel kind of trapped. But if you keep an attitude of being happy with the irony, with the paradox of you're there and yet, is that your experience? Because if it's not fully, then give yourself time, attention, energy to the process of purifying yourself through compassion, through anything that feels right, through loving others, through loving yourself, of course, loving everything, and just finding over and over right there that you are already there. And your mind will distract you. Then meditate. Learn to calm your mind. You can absolutely calm your mind to the extreme that there will be no thoughts, like an ocean with no waves, like a flame with no wind. Your mind can be absolutely pure. I don't care that you say your mind is restless, and that's just something that can be easily healed. It may take some time and some dedication, but it is not even difficult, because we're talking about disentangling the mind, so it is not difficult. The mind is difficult. Suffering is difficult. So once you get that into practice, you realize that there's still a process. And the process is almost automatic, because you're so in love with everything that even you may lose your awareness sometime, some degrees. It's so profoundly rooted in you that there's no way back. You are awakened. There's no single moment in your life where you're going to confuse yourself with your suffering. And only then you can actually start enjoying life without fear. And just resting in this constant, eternal standpoint of wholeness, of perfection, of the purity that you already are. Just enjoy being so self-satisfying that you're not looking forward to anything or too much. You're just satisfied. You're happy now, here. Your life is just an adventure. Everything is welcome. And yet, you need to devote time, effort. You need to calm your mind. You need to master letting go of your mind so it calms down perfectly. And the truth of your Buddha nature becomes evident the more you stay in perfect physical and mental calm, tranquility. Without doing nothing, your Buddha nature starts pouring its light through your awareness, through your presence, through everything you notice is full of life. And it has been always yours. Just wake up to the realization that you are already there. You don't need to keep changing yourself, improving yourself. And yet, out of love, out of excitement, passion, you keep releasing the obscurations of unconscious mental activity and patterns, what is called karma. So any moment you have the chance to just rest, like now, take advantage of that to reinforce the idea that you don't need any force. You are already there. You're ready as Buddha, as Gautama, as Christ, as anyone who come before you. You are as pure as they were, as they are. You are them.